Welcome to What the Caveat Is. I'm your host, Bleu. So listen, let's talk about Sister Wives. Sister Wives did not disappoint. You know me, I don't cover every nick and cranny of it. But let's do the sidebar conversations. So Mykelti's a mean girl. So Mykelti's mean ass did a whole live on her Patreon where she's talking about how around Christmas time, she was coming up with a scrapbook about her kids and how she was going to give each of the grandparents one, and how she didn't consider Mary a grandparent and that she considered Mary just to be her father's ex wife, and how that she will not be getting a scrapbook about her kids. And baby, Mary could give a flying fuck, and I see why Mary didn't like Mykelti. The more she talks, the more we realize why Mary didn't like Mykelti. She is her mother and her father's child. She's so petty and childish. So this could happen to a better person. So Mykelti tells us what happened when she sent the scrap to Cody and Robyn. Let's hear
It's
it from
sad to
these two.
hear that we have not
Heard anything.
heard anything. No, like, oh, it was so cute, or oh, yeah, we did get it, or just nothing.
You guys are my family. You've missed out on my kids who are also related to you guys. Check this out. So, anyway, I'm going to start crying soon.
This could happen to a better person. You're such a mean girl, and you try to be friends with the mean girl who didn't like your mom. And now that she got everything she wanted out of you, which is you sending messages to the family because you felt so good about the fact that she was only talking to you and Tony, and you liked the attention that your dad was giving you and your kids because you would speak nothing but his praises. And then once you started to see that they were using you and you separated yourself and then you wanted to reconnect, now they've shunned you. They cut you off like they've done everybody else. But it couldn't happen to a better person because she's been so nasty, so mean. One of the meanest things Mykelti has done was that Mary is out here trying. Hold
Alpha.
on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Sorry. This thing's doing what it wants to do. So Mary's out here trying to date, right? And so it's hard out here when, especially when you're over 50 years old, it's hard to date. And so she's new to the dating scene, post the catfishing situation. And so it's hard for her to meet anybody. It's hard for her to connect. And also, Mary gives off very masculine energy. Nobody wants to date Mary. Mary, I think you should open your eyes and start dating women. It's given that part because I feel like Mary would be happy with a woman. I don't know. I just get that vibe that she's too masculine for a man. So there's this guy that I'm sorry, not Mykelti, Mary is dating. I forget what his name is, and everybody says how nice he is, etc., etc. And Mykelti goes on her live and says that he's gay and that he's not really into Mary. Now, mind you, this clip that I just showed you was after Mean Girl said all that she said, and that the man is more interested in her father than she is Mary. And it's just like she just wants to continue to take digs. And then here she is on her live crying and thinking we're supposed to feel bad for her. We don't feel bad for you, Mykelti. We really don't. So moving on. Let's move on to the tell nothing. But honey baby, they was telling it all. So Cody was throwing Janelle underneath the bus. Not really. I, for one, believe that there was a backdoor deal. Janelle so much admitted so that her lawyers encouraged her to hurry up and close on the property because they were going to lose the offer. The reason why they were going to lose the offer is because Robyn tried to do it what Janelle said is a power play. Right as it was time to sign and get the titles the way they were supposed to be so that things could be fair and ready to sell, Robyn tells them they need to sign an NDA or she's not signing. So she tried to silence them. And I believe Janelle signed the NDA because she's like, I don't care. Janelle doesn't care to gossip. Mary does. And we want Mary to. You're on this show. Why not? Mary refused to sign the NDA and has not signed the NDA, I don't believe. Not the one that they wanted, but I think she signed something. She signed something because she says she can't talk about certain things. And I think one of the certain things was bits and pieces of the cell. And so I believe that Janelle was covering her tracks from the very beginning. Some people disagree with this. I believe that when Janelle came to Mary and said, look, you need to protect your interests, things aren't fair. Well, Cody let it out, the cat out the bag, that he always consulted with Janelle, and I believe that. And the reason why Janelle had her name more on parcels than Mary was because she advocated for it to be such as so. And also, she was kissing his butt. Her and Robyn were his favorites. And so until she started getting out of line and letting her kids call his wife and talk greasy to his wife, that's when he didn't like her anymore. And so I believe Cody when he says that there was a backdoor deal. Janelle admitted that she did bring it up. She tried to say that it was more to the conversation. There was no more that needed to be had. You brought it up because your lawyers advised you to do so. And that's cool. That's what you paid them for. They advise you for the best deal for you. But don't sit here and act like you're Team Mary and playing both sides of the field. I believe that she has done a lot of undermining things to Mary. Remember the conversation of the lake, who was going to get the land with the lake. And Janelle was adamant she did not want Mary to have it because she wanted the kids to have access to the lake. And because Mary's the big bad wolf and mean, they felt as though and Janelle admitted to this, that Mary would restrict the access to the lake. So she didn't want Mary to get that part of the land. So I believe she did have some input on where her name was and where Mary's name was and why Mary was only given a third. Because it was always, since the beginning of time, Janelle and Christine always telling Mary that she didn't deserve, and also mainly, in my opinion, not Christine so much, but mostly Janelle and Cody were constantly telling Mary that she didn't need as much because she only had one child. So I believe the reason why Mary's name was only a third of a parcel on the land was because of Janelle and Cody. I believe wholeheartedly that they were in cahoots and that they were making deals, and they always made deals because they were besties. And I believe she did run the books to a certain degree. And then he started doing shisty things because, as you know, Christine said in her book that about time to dissolve the family bank account, there was no money. He had siphoned out all the money, Janelle said, and closed the account because she was trying to get records without anybody's knowledge. So we now know that Cody and Janelle were trying to do Mary dirty, and it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. But the worst thing about the whole situation was that Cody said, well, she should have expected as much because I hadn't been liking her for a long time and she knows that. So the way I handled things shouldn't have been a surprise to her. The arrogance on this motherfucker. And that it was by the grace of him and Robyn and Janelle that she even got anything. Because legally we didn't have to give her nothing. And that's just so grimy. But this is where Mary has to take accountability. You sat there and trusted people that you knew that didn't like you. And you did things to them to make them not like you. And they did things to you to make you not like them. Case in point. So when this whole back deal situation was happening, Robyn knew about it because Robyn knows everything because Cody tells her. She was calling Mary and talking about, let's get the deal done, blah, 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 and try to talk her into her NDA. But she left out the fact that they were doing a backdoor deal. And so now she's all trying to hang her hat on, well, the reason why Janelle is saying that there was no backdoor deal because she got caught trying to backstab Mary, blah, blah, blah. And she did. She did. And I believe that Janelle was from the beginning trying to cover her tracks when she came to Mary and told her to lawyer up because she knew how fucked up the situation was. But the thing about it was Suki said to Robin, why didn't you tell Mary? What, do you not trust her? She's like, are you kidding me? At least that's what the cut showed. And then they bring up the catfishing once again. And it's like, oh, how much longer are we going to belabor this catfishing thing? I just wish that Mary would just own up to the catfishing and say, yes, I was lonely. I sought out companionship and I didn't know what it could lead to, if it was going to be romantic or if it wasn't going to be romantic. I just needed some attention. If she would just say that, then they would have nothing to say. Instead, she hangs her hat on the, well, Cody, you pushed me into it because you isolated me, you cut me off, and that played a part into it. But at the end of the day, she has to own the fact that she claimed this man is her husband and that she was committed to him and in a committed relationship. Then you broke that commitment by sneaking out. Even though he's broken it by showing that he's not loyal to any of the OG3, he still was working within the parameters, pri- um, per se, of their relationship because he didn't go outside of Robin to seek affection. You sought affection to somebody outside. And they knew that you were lonely and they wanted you out of the family. And how do they get Mary out of the family without feeling bad about all the plans they had for Mary? This was all a setup from the beginning. The way that Robin and Cody talk, I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones, where they sat, plotted, and put all this shit together. They orchestrated everything. I believe that they had this plan set out from Vegas. When they got into Vegas, they knew that they were going to be there temporarily, and they knew that they wanted this big mansion that they're in now. And how do we get that mansion? We get them to sell their properties, put all their money into the bank account where Cody has access to it only, and then he can siphon out the money as he choose fit. And how do you tie up the money without the sister wives getting it? You have them sign a promissory note saying, or whatever, saying that it was a gift receipt, and you take that money and then you put it into a property. And how do you fool them into believing in the fact that you still believe in this family system and that things are family assets? You call it a family asset, but legally you're not calling it that. And so they took all the money and they put it into Robin's property, and then they flipped it over to what they wanted, which was that mansion. And they knew that they didn't want Mary in the family anymore. They knew eventually they were trying to push her out. And so, how do we get Mary out of the family? We shame her, we show her as disloyal. And so, how do we do that? Robin set up the catfish. And how do we know that Robin set up the catfish? Because in the tell all, Mary finally admits that conversation she had with Robin, the catfish knew about. And I think the reason why Mary was so trusting of Robin, because she was suspicious of Robin too. And I believe, in my opinion, to a certain degree, that Mary was telling Robin information because she suspected that Robin was involved. Because the catfish came to her under the guise that he wanted to be an investor in my sister wife's closet. Now, why would anybody just randomly, a millionaire, want to be in a losing business with Robin and Cody when they sat there and they tried to con a company into giving them money without any proof that they were making the money that they were trying to get them to give them or loan them? And so that's when Mary should have been suspicious, because no one was seeking out my sister wife's closet. And why would they seek you out when you're not the face of my sister wife's closet? Robin has been. Robin's been the most vocal. She's the one who came up with it. It was her ideal. Why weren't you suspicious, Mary? She was just so gullible and easily to manipulate, and they knew it. and they exploited her, and they knew that these women were wet behind the ears. They were easily manipulated. Janelle definitely was easily manipulated. And that's a big reason why Cody liked talking to Janelle and went first to her for the apology tour because she's easily manipulated. Mary, he says she gives him anxiety. He's afraid of the calls, and that's why he avoids her. And so, because he says that about her, that leads me to believe that he was telling Robyn this, and Robyn wanted to alleviate him of that anxiety, that stress. And how do you do so? You get rid of it. And so they shamed her into a corner. And when they did that, but they still wanted her money. So Cody, when she got caught, let her know that she was going to pay for what she did, the embarrassment. And Robyn said, "Look, he's mad right now. He'll get over it." So they played good cop, bad cop with Mary, and here we are. I just hope that Mary will finally just write her book and tell us all of what happened and stop this. I can't talk about it. Yes, you can. Unless you sign the NDA, tell us I signed the NDA and I can't talk about things. Stop saying I can't talk about things and things are going to get bleeped, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you guys, tell me what you thought about the tell all. Were you excited about it? I was excited. I saw those clips and I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. I didn't grab a lot of clips from it because the clips that I did get, there was a lot of people that had commentary on them. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just give people my thoughts about the clips. I'll give you a short clip of Mykelti whining and keep it moving. Anyway, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you leave 5-star rating, and y'all have a good